What's going on? What's going on? What's going on? This is Chief Kalanago Flying Eagle with another video. We're about to get into another subject of discussion. All right. Thanksgiving was always a Southern American Indian holiday, so to speak. So we are gonna talk a little bit about Thanksgiving, but we're gonna go before what you may call the pilgrim version of Thanksgiving. Okay. So now I'm not giving y'all, okay, an excuse, okay, to celebrate that Thanksgiving. That ain't got nothing to do with us. And eating that dry turkey meat ain't got nothing to do with us, okay? We had a festivity for a different reason. And I'm gonna give you a little bit of history on that, okay? Because I'm all about the education, all about dropping the information. And by all means, do me a favor, please, please, please do your own research. However, I'm just giving you the information that I was privileged to tap into. All right. Once again, I'm Chief Kanago Flying Eagle. My channel is your channel. It's our platform. That's what it's there for. I want to acknowledge the great spirit, universal intelligence, the great I am, what some of us may often refer to as God. I also want to acknowledge my ancestors because we have to honor our ancestors, right? Honor your mothers and fathers so that your days can be longer. I know I am them and they are me. All right. So with that being said, I'm here to carry the baton, knowing that weapons formed against me shall not prosper. All right. I am in this world, but I'm not of this world. So I fear no man. I fear no institution. I'm going to live life on my own terms as long as I respect people's privacy. As long as I don't harm anybody, then I know I'm good. All right. So with that being said, let's get into this build. I'm going to share the screen and let's get into this. I may do another live. I may do two more lives. I don't know, but I'm going to roll this evening. We're about to get into some information. All right. So let us go ahead and share that screen and let's do some reading because reading is fun for the mental. And I also posted the link so you could do your own reading on, in your own spare time. All right. Okay. Let me see. Here we go. Here we go. Okay. Now this is from America's on Revealed. All right. I'm going to be reading some more information from that location. Okay. Because I find some decent information in there. So definitely want to share that one with you. Okay. Now this is a 1620 French map. What we have to realize, okay, our entire motherland, which is America. I don't know about you. Africa is not my motherland. That's not the motherland of my ancestors, okay? America is my mama. All right. So with that being said, our motherland have been inhabited by many, many foreign occupiers. Okay. So we had the French, we had we had the conquistadors, which was the Spanish, so to speak, the French, the English, the Dutch. I mean, so many different so-called group of nobilities that came here to do what they had to do. All right. But we're going to talk about Thanksgiving. All right. And it was always a Southern American Indian, holiday, so to speak. All right. So let us get into that and let's do a little bit of reading. All right. While each year, some American Indians, I'm going to use American Indians. I just don't like using that word native. Okay. While each year, some American Indian political activists always demand that their fellow indigenous peoples not celebrate Thanksgiving. The descendants of the lower Southeast indigenous peoples should ignore this call. Again, this is for um, a certain demographic of people. All right. So I'm just giving it to you from their perspective. All right. You see, a feast late November, which give thanks to the master of life for bounty be given them in our fertile lands, has a long, long tradition which predates the European colonies. The first Thanksgiving feast at Jamestown and Plymouth merely imitated what was already a cherished custom. Okay, so for certain tribes or clans, so to speak, okay, that was already a practice. All right, so the whole pilgrimage and them giving thanks for some of our ancestors, helping them and opening up their homes to them, and they gave thanks for that. Okay, that wasn't the first so-called Thanksgiving. We certain tribes or clans, okay, had that tradition way before that. It was just imitated as a custom that was already in place. Now, this is a 1565, Nakuchi Valley was occupied by the Appalachie or the Appalachie, which is what the Creek Indians originally called themselves. Their capital in the valley was abandoned around 1696. I'm going to read that again. We have a map here, okay, 1565. The Nakuchi, okay, valley was occupied by the Appalachian, by the Appalachie, which is what the Creek Indians originally called themselves. So as you could see the map, you have the Nakuchi Valley, you have Anna Ruby Falls, Savannah River, all right. You have the Chattahoochee River, okay, Metro Atlanta. So that whole Atlanta region, okay, was literally, you had, of course, you have Cherokees there as well, but, they were all, for the most part of the Creek Nation and considered to be Creek Indians, all right? The above map was prepared by Fort Caroline's resident artist, Jacques Lemoyne, and based on sketches made by Lieutenant La Roche Ferreira during his 6-month exploration of what is now Georgia and the southern Appalachians. Forgotten American history. In 1621, a party of especially religious British intellectuals and natural scientists sailed to the New World on a Dutch ship, which the intent of settling in Jamestown, Virginia. They seem to be members of the same English colony in the Netherlands, which produced the so-called Pilgrims, who sailed that year from Plymouth, England to Cape Cod. So once again, I've already told you who the Pilgrims were. Even if they became settlers, all right, they were escaping persecution from Europe, all right, religious persecution from Europe from their so-called black kings and queens, all right. Now, the truth of the matter is they will not tell you these people did not come, like, take for instance, they escaped from Europe and decide to travel. No, okay, they came here on pretty much what's called contracts, okay, to work. Okay, so you don't want to be here. All right, so we found this new world. We're going to dump you into the new world. All right, so let us put all this into its proper context. All right. Now, upon arrival at Jamestown, they learned that there was a smallpox epidemic. Plus, the colony was at war with many of the Indian tribes nearby. The Dutch captain suggested that they settle further south in the kingdom of Appalachia, where the far more numerous Indians were civilized and welcomed Europeans as a means of acquiring European technology. Now, remember, the Europeans that they're talking about now, it wasn't the pale European. All right. They will not differentiate and tell you the truth about that. They will not tell you that. Okay. Because the people who were in charge in the 1600s, it wasn't the pale European. All right. He had visited there and said the climate of Appalachia highlands was far superior to the Virginia's coast. The English colonists agreed being disembarked at what is now Savannah. Somehow made their way to the interior. They were welcomed by the High King of the Appalachia and were shocked to learn that the nobility of the Appalachia were Christians who had converted from a religion similar to Judaism, but with a female god Amana to the beliefs of who established the colony of Miliat in the autumn of 1565. So once again, all right, by the time these people that encountered the king of the Appalachia, all right, of the Appalachia Indians, they had already been converted to Christianity. But remember, right, Judaism was also introduced, all right, from prior what you call settlers, okay, or colonizers. All right, so they had made the transition from Judaism and then Christianity, and of course they had a female god called Amana. All right, just want to explain that. However, the Appalachians still believed in a female god because only a mother could love her human children despite of all failings. Okay. Melilat appears on European maps from 1570 until 1700. The 1696 Great Appalachian smallpox epidemic probably caused its demise. Why was Melilat left out of American history books? It was founded at the same time as St. Augustine and 41 years before Jamestown. See the map above. Okay? The English were allowed to build an English-style church at Melilat and apparently and prospered. All right, now that was the nature once again of our people. We were welcoming people, and the truth of the matter is, we had seen people that looked like us, different variations in complexion, physiognomy a little bit different, but nevertheless, of the so-called Negroid features. You see what I'm saying? So that's why, again, people always ask questions. Well, Chief, how did our ancestors allow these things? It is because we saw people who looked just like us. So it wasn't a big threat until they started infringing on our lands and infringing on our women. Okay, then it became a problem. You feel me? It became a problem before it became commercial. You dig? All right, if that makes sense. Because we welcome them as brothers. All right. I have a copy of a 1660 letter written in French to a French Protestant minister in the Netherlands from natural scientist Edward Graves, who was one of the leaders of Melilat. I am fairly certain that Melilat was located at what is now the Little Mulberry River Park near Auburn, Georgia, in Gwinnett County, northeast Metro Atlanta. I have identified stone foundations at the park, typically of 17th century English and French Norman houses. All right, the Kingdom of Appalachia. So this is kind of like a depiction from 1653 AD. All right. Appalachia elite looking at European village of Melilat. Appalachia celebration of Thanksgiving. In 1653, British planter Richard Brigstock traveled on a Dutch cargo ship from Barbados to the coast of what is now Georgia. And that's why you see, once again, everything that I do, there's a madness to it. You see how Barbados has always played a role, okay, in the colonization of the Americas, all right, because that was a major port, all right, where commerce was established, all right. Now, Brigstock was a royalist, and Barbados was under siege by a fleet of ships from the English Commonwealth government. This purpose was to determine the feasibility of the Barbados plantation moving to the Kingdom of Appalachia. In 1646, his cousin Edward Bland had financed a Spanish trading post in the Nacuchi Valley after moving to Jamestown from Spain. Brigstock ultimately decided to move to Virginia because the Appalachia in Georgia refused to allow slavery of Africans and Native Americans or American Indians. Slavery, human sacrifice, and animal sacrifice were forbidden by their religion. No blood of any kind could be shed within the creek mile, 2.2 English miles of an Appalachian temple or shrine. At the time, there were many Spanish missions on the coast of Georgia, which was part of the province that the Spanish called La Florida. Apparently, Spain and England were at peace because he was conveyed upon the Altamaha River and then the Oconee River on a large American Indian cargo canoe. At the headwaters of the Oconee, it is now northwest Metro Atlanta. He was conducted to the capital of the Kingdom of Appalachia. By this time, the capital of the kingdom was located in Nacuchi Valley and show up on European maps as the town of Appalachia. But they took that whole history out from the Americas, right? So you have the town of Tougaloo, that's near the Savannah River, Nacuchi Valley, Chattahoochee River, Broad River, Calamago River, in the area of Tennessee. Anyway, you could see the the picture for yourself, all right? And that was in 1693 by Robert Morden. But that's a map that's in Europe, okay? Now, Bristock later provided details of his year in the future state of Georgia to French natural scientist Charles de Rochefort, who in 1658 published 10 chapters on the American Indians and natural environment of Georgia in L'Histoire naturelle El Morel des Els Antilles de l'Amérique. Okay? The history of the natural morals of the Isles, or the Isles or the Antilles of the Americas. Okay? I speak a little French, je parle français un peu. All right, so I was able to read that and translate that, right? Now, Bristock described two major religious celebrations held in the Kingdom of Appalachia during the autumn. In the late September, the painted Buntins who lived in the mountaintop and hilltop temples would fly south to Mexico, which was considered the home of the invisible sun goddess. Now, think about what they just said, would fly to Mexico. Okay, I don't think y'all heard me, all right? But we're going to pretend like we never heard that, right? Okay, all right. Now, which was considered the home of the invisible sun goddess, whom the Appalachian now considered to be the universal God for all humankind, named Amana. All the people would climb up to the temples to give prayers to the painted buntins to carry to Amana. As soon as the first frost occurred in early October, the young men would head out into the wilderness to hunt deer and elk, the grasslands of eastern Georgia to hunt bison, or down to the large rivers further south to catch giant catfish, okay, Stygian turtles and alligators. Slabs of meat and fish flesh were soaked in brine, then smoked until fully cured and much higher, okay? The men returned to their towns and villages in late November, whereupon great feasts were held in each community to prepare winter and to give thanks to Amana for allowing them to live in such a bountiful land. Now, the whole concept was this. During the spring, all right, the custom was our people grow food, all right? And then during the summertime, where you had the festivals for the first like the green corn festival was one of those celebrations for the first picking of the fruit that was planted during the springtime. Okay, so that was that. And then going into the fall, during the summer, when all the fruits, okay, or the plants, whatever the crops, so to speak, they are fully grown during the summer in bountiful, then they pick, okay, or they harvest, okay, the crops or the fruits during the fall, and they give a celebration because they know it's going to be a long dead winter. Okay, so that was literally part of our culture, at least here in the United States, where you had the seasons. Okay, of course, in the hot temperate parts of the Americas, of course, they didn't have to practice that because why? They were able to plant food all year round. All right, but in the seasonal areas, all right, the culture was grow the food during the spring. Okay, it would grow all summer long. Some crops or some fruits will be ready in the summer. So part of the Green Corn Festival was part of those celebrations, but for the most part, the food was to prepare for the fall. Okay, and store the food throughout all winter because nothing couldn't grow through the winter. All right, so just wanted to explain that. Okay. Now, the men returned to their towns and villages in late November, whereupon great feasts were held in each community to prepare for the winter and to give thanks to Amana for allowing them to live in such a bountiful land. Charles de Rochefort recorded the name of this national feast day as Muto. It is now Greek word for thank you. Okay, so at that time, he recorded the name, okay, of the national feast day that the Appalachian Kingdom celebrated towards the end of November. It had nothing to do with this Thanksgiving that this pilgrim had, okay, all right. So with that being said, the name was Muto, okay, and it is now a Greek word for thank you. So now you know, okay. Just wanted to share that with you, a little bit of history about some of the culture, so to speak. All right. So I hope you found value in that. I'm about to conclude this this live, and I'm gonna do another one. All right, because once again, like I said, you have to know what's happening. You have to be abreast of things that are happening. Most times they don't talk about these things on the news, but I'm going to bring the information to you. Once again, don't forget to send me an email because you don't want to miss that event on Saturday at 4 p.m. You definitely want to be there on that Zoom. All right. Trust me, you don't want to miss that. So send me an email. Hey, Chief, I would like to be on the VIP list for Saturday at 4 p.m. I will send you the information. I will see you in the next live in a few minutes. Thank you.